Welcome to this exciting compilation of episodes 26 to 28. Half an hour of your life you will just not get back. Welcome to this exciting episode where I finish and finesse as we work through the snagging list.
Yeah, join me on a glorious sunny day in Southampton. And I'm going to start working through the list of things that need to be done before we can get this to move forward. All of the various components have been built, so we have two front wings, we have a bonnet, we have a bumper, we have two overriders, and we have an air dam. All of which now need finishing properly. Wheel arch, well, we know that's not round because we discovered the overhang. I don't know if you can really see it, but there's like a dent here. I need to make this front corner nice. That corner there. The air dam, that is only had a first slap coat of filler on it, so that whole air dam will need to be sanded, shaped and filled. The bumper, at the moment it's three pieces with big gaps and screws holding it together. That I'm going to try and now make into a single piece. I need to cut that shorter and shape it because I want to finish it about here. Once we have the wings and the air dam and the bumper, we can do those little overriders. Finally, the bonnet. Now that fits reasonably. There's a bit of a gap down this side, a few leaves on it, but I want to make sure that's finished properly. I'm not sure if I'm going to get this slot into a single episode, but we shall see.
So there's my task list, and in my beautiful tidy garage there's the parts stacked waiting to be done.
I've managed to clear some space and get the air dam on the desk. This used to be a big garage, and now I've got no space at all. Anyway, not sure how to approach this because it's quite a big bugger and I can't really move around too much because I'm worried about breaking it. So first thing to do is block that down with probably some 60 grit to at least get a approximately smooth surface. Then apply a nice smooth layer of filler over it, or at least a thin layer of filler over it, that I can block down to get some kind of finish.
I started with good intentions, a sanding block and do it by hand, but decided it was so rough I'd hit it with an orbital first.
It's all been sanded basically smooth, but it's still very rough. So I'm going to make it up probably just 50 in a little cup to put on there. So I have epoxy laminated resin, slow hardener. I prefer to use fast, but I've only got slow, so I'll use that. The glass baubles, a scale, a cup, and a drill with a blender on it. It's going to be 50 resin. So half of that is 15 of hardener, glass baubles to make the mixture I want.
Carefully weigh and measure the quantities of resin, hardener, blend them together. Probably shouldn't really use a blender as it introduces bubbles, but for what I'm doing that doesn't really matter. Adding the glass baubles, these are so light they kind of float on top, so you really use a paddle to begin with, just to stir them in, almost like a spoon, then you can blend them in. Once you've got the first lot in there, it forms a liquid, and that's much better than you add a bit more, and the blend just goes in much quicker. Get it to the consistency you want. You can have anywhere between like double cream and Play-Doh. The looser it is, the more it flows, so you get sags. The harder it is, the more bulk you've got, but it does not quite as sticky, of course. Pour the glue onto the mixing board and use the spreader to try and get out those bubbles. Then slap it onto the body. I've got no idea what I'm doing here, so if anyone listening knows about body filling and can tell me what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, or send me links, I'd really appreciate that.
And we come back in the morning, all nice and hard. So that'll leave sanding down, then just continue to repeat right the way around. Back to my useful list, and wheel arch. I'm going to use some of that black plastic to make a template of this wheel arch, and then going to transfer it to this side and make them match.
And isn't it quick and easy with a bit of fast forward? Anyway, template's transferred, and you can see that most of the gap is around the front of the wheel arch, as we expect. So I need to slap some body filler behind there. Gotta love it when autofocus doesn't do what you want it to do. Anyway, I made a little dam to keep the body filler in place, and I'm squidging it all in there. This is really thick and it's like porridge. Anyway, making that wheel arch, then let it dry, and hopefully sand to shape.
We've got the front wing basically to shape. That's obviously going to need some sanding. This is still a little bit missing, so I need to bring this out a little bit. But I've got this low spot, so what I'm going to do is try and fill that, and then that corner there, a little bit here, so that when I do come to sand it, we can do it all in one go. Trick I heard on YouTube, that's a low spot, but that's good. So what I want to do is mark with a pencil where the low spot is, so when I'm standing back, I stand back until I see the pencil mark. So basically, the low spot is that area. So I want to be able to see those pencil marks.
And now slap some filler. So make a dam out of some sticky tape so I can get that corner right and fill the low spot.
It was a shitty, rainy Sunday morning, so I tidied round over there. Yeah, kind of missed that bit. But tidied round, and you know what? Found 2 lots of fast hardener. So I can now make epoxy which will go off in a day rather than a week.
Now we're back in the air dam. Not sorry for jumping around like this, but while the wing's drying, I might as well do the air dam. It's not symmetrical. I know I use a template, but if you look at those markings, there's 3 5s to the left and only 2 and a bit to the right. The upright bit at the edge is also the wrong size. It should be 2 5s wide, not 1 and a bit. The actual width stuff is mostly caused by that flare being at the wrong angle. The corner post is easily spaced out with a bit of foam. The actual corner itself, I'm going to block out with a couple bits of foam, just get the rough shape, fill it, and then worry about blending in the side. To make the surface, I was filling flat out to standard bumper on its end, which means I was reaching up to get to it. Made the glute tooth runny. Had to use some gaffer tape to quickly make a dam for that. Not perfect, but hey, it worked.
We've got the slump we expected, but we now have 555, which matches 555. Now I can worry about shaping that to there. So the plan is to put a piece of that there. Then this will be shaved and sanded down to match that, and that will be made beautiful.
Before shaving anything to make it look beautiful, I thought I'd do a test fit. Then realised that top edge of the air dam needs to be flush with the wing, which means the wing needs to be perfect. And so let's jump to doing the wing.
Bringing the wing into the garage, I'm now going to go pencil mark all the different bits so I can see problems, give a final coat of filler, sand it, and then that should be finished.
Not a chance, you dreamer.
Put a little headlight blanket in place, shows how much the shape has evolved. Also shows I forgot to clean my bloody stirrer, so that's all set hard.
Lots of defects highlighted, rough sanding, just scratch marks, dents, lots of little pinholes because when I blend it with the whisk, it leaves bubbles in there. Make sure this net's not blended by hand. I'm sure you didn't need to watch me mixing filler and applying it again. So this wing, I said the filler applied, we can sand it down with some 60 or maybe 80 grit, and then coating the 3M clear guide coat. Black powder shows every scratch, as you see, lots of roughness. This all needs to be sanded down. I'll grab some 120 or maybe 150 and make it smooth. On with the mask, stick a big fan blowing everything out the little door in the corner and get sanding. I'm doing this by hand because it's late at night. I don't want to wake the neighbours up with an electric sander, but actually mainly because I want to use a long block. This keeps the smoothness of the surface and doesn't get big dents and troughs or waves or whatever caused by the orbital. Keep blowing the dust away. As you can see, it's pretty dusty. And as you're probably aware by now, sanding is pretty boring. So, well, just assume it's been sanded. Here it is after it's sanded. Still some low spots you can see where the dark areas are. I'll bring them with pencil. These are really slight. You can't feel them by finger. I'm sure if it wasn't for that guide coat, you wouldn't be able to see them. Wow, there you can see that one. Okay, it's going to take another coat of filler and sand. But then, like I said last time, it's going to be perfect.
It's yawn o'clock on a Friday morning, and you join me to see my latest innovation. I stuck a marquee up against the garage because I'm fed up of it bloody raining on me. I have got sides for it, but don't want to put them up yet. Hopefully this won't blow away. It's anchored into the garage with ring bolts and a battery off the old Range Rover. Theoretically this should let me do some work on here, so hopefully this weekend I'll get the two wings finished off and make a big improvement on the air dam.
Just realised we're 10 minutes into this video, so if anyone's still there, I'm going to whisk through what we did the weekend, where I worked basically on the air dam. So stick with it, we're nearly there. First thing to do is to make the two side vents the same and symmetrical. So you guessed it, we used a template. Lost all the footage of the first one, so you're going to watch me make the second one. The template will make sure that the holes of the vents are the same size, but you're still going to put them in the same place. And because the backs of this air dam are so rough, positioning is a pain in the backside. Once you've got them there, it actually does show how much overhang and underhang there are, so it should be worth it in the end. We now fill up all the gaps to that template, big gloopy splodges. Hopefully that'll go off. Actually, here we are next morning, cup of coffee, so it's going to be about 7 in the morning. Yeah, it seems hard. So bit of shaping, bit of filling, pull the template off. Oh, bugger. Look, we've basically pulled a bit of the filler off with the template. It happens. We can touch that up. Then leave it to dry in the garden because having put the bloody awning up, it's not rained since. Anyway, enough complaining about good weather. Going to use template foam, same idea to do the bottom, make sure that the air dam is symmetrical and flat. Foam down, slap goop on, leave to dry, peel it off in the morning. That roll of silver tape is amazingly effective with this epoxy resin. This scene was actually totally staged for YouTube. Yeah, we've got some release, a bit sticky, but okay. Anyway, end of episode. Where are we at? Got the wheel arch done. Front wings kind of finessed. Air dam kind of filled. Next episode, we're going to be getting onto the bumpers and all that exciting stuff. So like, subscribe, and whatever else. Thanks, guys. Welcome to this exciting episode where we finish the bumpers, the overriders, and are almost ready to prep for primer. So the to-do list shows air dam. Well, that's out there drying. It's going to take a while to do, so that's been ongoing in the background. Finesse the wings. One on the desk here needing sanding. One out on the car there finished. So that's going to be sanded down and made beautiful. While that's happening, I'm going to focus on the bumpers. So rather than show you sanding, I'm going to show you bumpers. We've got the three pieces and they're fairly rough, but just putting them on, you can see that they look okay. Round the side, that goes on far too long, so I need to cut that shorter. Work out where that goes and then do the cut, I guess. Out there, I reckon. Now the cut. Let's slap some filler on them and start shaping them up. I was about to start glassing up the bumpers when I read the comments on YouTube, because I read it. And someone pointed out these don't have corners like this on the DS. They should be smooth curves. I need to make those corners smooth curves. I decided to use the sanding wheel because it's in front of me. Forget about breathing apparatus and forget about all the dust on the screen so crap gets everywhere. Really dumb idea. Do wear the breathing apparatus, means you can work for longer. Anyway, got those shaped to sort of curvy shapes. With those shapes, we can slap some filler on a bit of the air dam, and now we do the weighting. Lots of bloody weighting in this game. Let this lot go off, and then we can do something else. Most of the something else I did that weekend was building a bike park, but anyway, you're not interested in that. Yeah, back to the car and started to look at the bumpers. So here we've got the bumpers laid out with the air dam in the background. I need to work out what to do with these. I think the bumper's going to remain a three-piece moulding, but the split's in the wrong place. I want the split hidden by the overriders, and the overriders need to line up with the vertical bits on the air dam. So I need to think about that. And while I was thinking about the bumpers, the British weather was thinking about pissing me off again and destroying my lovely new marquee. Anyway, to make life easier for myself or not, I decided not to have a three-piece bumper, but have a one-piece bumper, because that way I could try and struggle with fitting and finishing right the way around the car, making sure both edges and the whole of the front were all aligned in one simple piece. Yeah, that'll never break, will it?
So lots of sanding to shape that nicely, and snap the end off again, bugger. But while that dries, I'm mending the gazebo, which is standing sort of upright now.
So here we are after Gazebo Gate, feeling confident about the fit finish. Bit slack on that side. Okay, across the front. Bit tight on that side. Let's wiggle it and adjust it and see how that looks. Feeling good. Feeling less good.
Well, it's been another rainy morning and the canopy has collapsed again. I think that's in the bin soon. But anyway, on brighter news, the bumper, one half, is done. Flip it over and put some slop onto this half. Leave that to dry. Then work out what to do with the top plate. Then we're pretty close to done.
Almost done, you hopeless optimist. More disaster to follow, but let's have a look at this bumper bit first.
Basically, it fits and it's pretty even, but I've got to make sure that this flat surface, this length, is consistent, not like that.
You know, I mentioned disasters earlier. Here's what unfolding in front of you. I make a template, I slop it in place, and I then come back in the morning and it's all fallen apart. Don't worry, there's lots more disasters to come in this episode. In fact, here's one from 5 minutes later when I drop the bloody bumper again. While fitting and breaking the bumper, I realised the passenger side front wing was a wee bit longer than the driver's side, so added fettling the front wing back onto the list again.
Bumper lines are straight, not quite aligned with the headlights. Gaps there, big gap there. That's basically caused because it keeps snapping here and there. So I've fixed it back on so many times, it's just pushed it out. I'm going to screw a metal plate across there, cut that, make it fit. That one, just need to fill that straight, but I'm going to put a brace across it anyway. One's going to go there, one's going to go there, and hopefully that'll stop those snapping. So that's fitted and fitting nicely. This side, I basically cut a chunk out of there, and that's now fitting okay. So I'm going to screw and then glue that gap. I've deliberately cut it oversized so there's a bit of gloop each side to seal it. Oh, it's getting cold these early mornings, but here we have the bumper. We're ready for the big reveal.
Very satisfying, but does it fit? Yay! I'll take that as a win. Let's move on to the next bit. And the next bit is the space between the upper and lower bumpers. I don't know those little studs. I'm going to have to make those separate. So, kazam! They've gone.
Late night update on the Porsche. I'm feeling really positive. Went to see Chris at Tribute Automotive. He's the bloke who helped me make that, or he made that really. I took him to design. He does kit cars based on the Z3. Check out tributeautomotive.com. Not sponsored, but just a friend who's helping me out. He's told me how I should fix that wheel arch. That hole there, and the headlight. I'm going to fall over those so that when the mold's there, I can then cut them out afterwards. Sort out a few bits on the bumper. Same with the other wing. And we're really close to done.
Most of Saturday we spent building the bike park again, but I did get the wheel arch finished using that very scientific method of a piece of string and a pencil. A little bit tidying up on a few scratches on the wings, and then of course we broke the fucking wing, so that needs fixing. Fortunately, I got another delivery from Easy Composites, which took my mind off it, and decided to look at the bumper, or more accurately, the overriders. So this was try for size, cut, try for size, measure, cut, try for size, cut, measure, cut, try for size. Yeah, and then I broke the bloody bumper. Whoopee doodah. To be honest, I'm so used to that now, I didn't even notice and carried on making the overrider. This is a rough piece to put together, so I would now need to cut some nice pieces out of a single piece of foam. I kept the tinfoil on the foam this time
when I was marking the template because I was using the saw and having the template. As long as I cut it with a Stanley knife nice and cleanly, it actually helps guide the saw blade through it, so you get a much better cut. Uh, Everything else you need to take the foil off.
And as if by magic, we have two overriders. Those will get shaved down so they won't be quite so big. And I'll fix the bloody bumper again.
I managed to get the bumper glued together, but then we had a family tragedy, so for about 10 days I've done nothing. I'm just going to get this video finished off and put out there so that we can sort our shit out. Anyway, yeah, bumper space there, needs some finish. Need to sort out the overriders, and then it's mainly there now. I think I'll probably finish this episode with the video I've got, so sorry if it's a bit short, but trust me, at the moment my life's more shit than yours, so my apologies. So here's me working on the overriders. I've glued some sandpaper to a flat bar so I can sand the inside edges and keep them nice and sharp and level. I'm using the normal sanding block to give a nice curved, smooth outer edge. Here's the overriders fitted. Pretty good. Next stuff is just the air dam, which is sanding and filling. You've seen enough of that. Next episode, I hope to get to the prep for primer, which means tinfoil over those headlights, the fuel filler, and we'll see how it goes from there. Please join then. Like and subscribe. Welcome to this exciting episode where we fight the cold weather to get everything ready for primer, sanding all to 150, filling any remaining gaps. The air dam needs quite a bit of work, so we'll be doing that. The bumper as well. But first of all, we're going to be focusing on the front wings. I want to get those all sanded to 150, tinfoil over the headlight gap and the fuel filler, so those are perfect. The cold weather slows the epoxy, which is why the air dam and bumper are in the kitchen. Don't tell the wife, but we will get the heater on and get it going. Black dust guide coat helps us work out where all the faults are, so we can sand those down, hit those with 150 grit on a longboard, and get rid of all the problems. Not quite all the problems. We've got pinholes in the filler. These are caused by bubbles in the filler introduced when I was using my drill to blend it. Don't care, easy enough to fill. The YouTube says, use your razor to carefully fill the holes. The electric razor is now completely buggered, so I use a Stanley blade instead. With the pinholes filled, I turn my attention to the last bit, which is the face of the headlights. Although I'm going to put tinfoil over them, I still need the headlight surround to be even all the way round and flat. I use a finger sander to make the perimeter of the headlights all the same width, then added some gloop to the bottom of the headlights to reinforce that because I didn't want that to snap again. Quick test run on the car, and happy with that, so into the garden cabin to dry because there's no bloody room in the garage.
When I was drying in, I was kind of filled it with filler, so I thought I should have a sheet over the front of the headlights instead.
I decided to make a former out of some acrylic I've got, but that's obviously knackered. Looked at B&Q to get some more, 11 quid per sheet, that's 2 sheets, or £6.99 for 2 picture frames. Take the front off those and make the templates.
Take the 2 sheets together, then trim to fit. This ensures both headlights are the same shape, and we've got templates. Use cheap aluminium tape to stick the templates onto the headlights. That means nothing will stick to them when you make the mould. Once that's done, just smooth it out with the squeegee so there's as few ripples as possible. Hopefully this won't leave big marks in the mould. Repeat the same process to the other side, and that's 2 wings done. Whoop, whoop, whoop!
Having got unduly excited about finishing the wings, I've taken the bumper and decided to take that all down. This is all down to 150, and I've even gone through and marked all the micro flaws. So, a couple of pinholes there, little mark. This is real finishing stuff. So, hopefully, I can just put a little skim on those, and the bumper will be finished. It's going to be 2 front wings and a bumper done. I'm not going to mix it now because it's almost midnight, but that's one for tomorrow, I think.
With the bumper filled, sanded and ready, I moved on to the air dam, and God, does that look rough compared to the other stuff. Anyway, got annoyed by these 2 upright struts. They're not even, they're not forward, they're not nice, they're not fit for purpose. So remade those in pieces of foam. First, so cut out the old pieces and then hold the new pieces in place. Then I have some nice, even, straight, and equal uprights. That might sound simple, but it took a shitload of measuring, marking, gluing things in place with super glue just to try and get even one side in the right place. Once I got that place, I could do the other. So here we have the two struts in place, roughly glued in, drying. Everything takes so bloody long to dry at the moment. It's a nightmare. While stuff dries, I work on other stuff. So I'm working this upper bumper bit. If I put it in place, the panel gap's massive. I'm getting obsessed with panel gaps, by the way. If I take it out, there's obviously panel gaps are uneven and wrong, and it needs to be there. So I've got to work out how to improve that. My Julius solution to it being too thick is to make it thinner. This means chopping a little bit off those legs where the pencil mark is and thinning that top beam, well, basically so it's going to be as wide as an IKEA tape measure, which is a very important technical measure. As well as making those legs shorter, I decided to make them narrower so they weren't quite so bulky. Good old Zub does the duties, and before you know it, we have a trimmed, thinner, lower, hopefully fitting, whatever that bit's called, upper bumper bit. With that cut down and those side struts narrowed a bit, it does look better. The panel gap's good. Panel gap is getting increasingly important. Still not right though. Those front bits that drop down, the legs, if you like, need doing properly. God, I wish I knew what I was doing here.
Good morning on an early Sunday morning. I've just been called in to do my daily life and realised the clock's changed today, so I was sat here with a cup of coffee at 5:30 this morning, working out how to get those bits right. So I'm just going to mix the muck up for those and leave it while I do my daily tasks.
One of those daily tasks took me past Cafe in a Machine, where there was a German taxi, a McLaren, squash beetle, and a few fast Fiats just leaving the car park. There's also a rather nice Z3 coupe there. But check those panel gaps out between the door and the wing, the different bits of the wing, that little panel in there. Shocking. There's hope for me yet. Sometime later, the glutes set off and those down struts are exactly as I wanted them. Put the overriders on and they look shit. Yeah, I need to cut those short because I want the overriders further out. So if they're cut short, what does it look like now? Not exactly square, but pretty good. Alright, so if we go with that, let's get this air dam finished up and smooth.
We reach another milestone as the air dam gets the guide coat for final sanding. It feels like we're making progress. Now getting scared I'm going to have to start priming.
Sand down the first half, get it nice and white. Yeah, a little bit fell on the low spots. Flip it over and sand that down really good. Need to adjust the bumper so it fits over those new uprights, which stick out a bit forward. Trim that back and fit it. I think that is ready for primer. Apart from, of course, it's not, because when I come to bolt the panels tight, I realise this passenger side wing won't go back because somewhere in there, the front of the wing touches the front of the air dam and won't go down low enough to let it sit square. A little bit of filing to do there, but let's see what it looks like.
7 o'clock on a Saturday morning and got the car put together last night. Finished, ready for primer, yay! I've been thinking overnight. I think I'm going to say it before you lot do. Still too wide at the front. That line there comes out this way. I'm thinking I'll keep it in line here, chop that bit off, lose that bulge. I'm not sure. Fucking dilemma. I think like that it looks okay. It's just it don't quite fit on the back of the car. It makes the back of the car look skinny. Shit. Coming from here, that front wheel is tucked in a bit. So what I thought, I pulled this out. So I'll pull the whole front wing out and put a vent there. Then that line along the front wing, not like that, isn't too bad.
Enough of his early morning whinging and whining. Um, if I flare the arch out, the wheels will be tucked in. Wider wheels might help that. The other option, and the only other option, is to cut that bulge out the front wing, like I said. So that'll bring the air dam narrower. It'll bring the wheel in line with the edge of the air dam and the wing. The wing comes in, whole load, chop, fill, and all that fun and games again. Join me next episode while we find out, do I do that or do I do something completely different? Like, subscribe, and find out what happens.